The cost of IT in business can be staggering. From hardware and software expenses to services like internet and phone, you don't need to spend a fortune on IT to succeed. If your organization spends more than $500 monthly on any service, or you're considering signing a long-term contract, IT Enabled can help you manage your technology and minimize your costs. Contact us today to schedule a free consultation. IT Enabled, we're here to help.
Well, we are excited. It seems like this has been in the works for several months. As you know, about 2 years ago, Blake came to me and said, I have an idea, and I think that we should do a podcast with the Chamber. And little did we know that it would take off and become a great hit. So first of all, let me introduce Blake Pollino with BP Media Group. He is fantastic and is really the brainchild behind all of this. And Blake, I just appreciate you coming to us and saying, I think this will work, because we're all on the idea of telling stories.
We are, and I appreciate you just taking this and running with it. When I first came to you, and we produce podcasts for different clients and different companies, and it's hard a lot of times to make them go. And when we came up with the idea for the podcast, I was like, it's such a perfect fit for the Chamber. You already have people that want to listen to these stories. You have access to tons of people that want to tell their stories. And when we first started out, I thought it would just be something fun for us to do during COVID. Honestly, I fully did not expect it to get to 100 episodes. That's such a big deal for a podcast to make it. They usually fizzle out around 12 or 14 episodes, and it's still going strong. And we've got some fun pieces of data to kind of show you and walk you through our first 100 episodes that we'll kind of share with you.
Absolutely. So when you think about 100 episodes, it is actually 2,421 minutes. That is the entire catalog if you were to put our episodes all together, which makes over 40 hours of listening entertainment. If you listen to every single podcast back to back without stopping, it would actually be over 40 hours.
So to put that in perspective, if you were really, really interested in the podcast and haven't listened to it, and pressed play on episode 1, you could drive all the way from Lufkin to Yellowstone. And then once you got to Yellowstone, you could watch every episode of Yellowstone and still not hit 40 hours. So it is a lot of content. It's been just a joy to create, and a lot of the guests that you see there in the background as well.
We would love for you to like us as much as you like Yellowstone, so and share with your friends. We also have had the privilege of having 119 guests on the podcast, which is great. Some episodes we have 1, some episodes we've had up to 4, but total we have 119 guests. We have over 92,000 views and downloads, which I'm just so pleased with and so impressed with. Little did we know, like we said, that it would turn out to be something this big.
And one of the most fun little facts as we were digging through the data of the first 100 episodes is, for some reason, we have 61 downloads from Ireland. So if you're listening to this, so we are live recording this right now. This is the 100th episode of our podcast. If you're listening out there and you've downloaded 61 episodes of this podcast and you live in Ireland, please send us an email or a message on Facebook or something. Just tell us who you are.
So we want to know how you found us.
We just want to know what you're doing, how you found this little Lufkin podcast, and we would love to know more about you. But some fun data about the podcast. So we pulled some interesting data. These are the most downloaded episodes of all time. They're a little forward heavy because when people find the podcast, they tend to go back to number 1 and listen all the way through and hear all of the stories. But and we'll make a disclaimer, the winner of this has a huge unfair advantage. So that's episode number 14, Dr. Jeff Glass of the Children's Clinic. This was at the height of COVID. We still had no idea what COVID was, and he came on and gave us a very, very thorough breakdown, and it's still 10 or 15x times what any other episode has been downloaded. And our first episode, Bob Samford, the Economic Development Corporation, and then Kevin and Becky Coda, Century 21 Realty, Monty Bostwick of CHI St. Luke's Health Memorial, and then rounding it out in the top 5, again, Dr. Jeff Glass coming back to give us COVID-19 updates during our second phase of the COVID pandemic. So a little unfair advantage, but these are some of the fun stats from being on the podcast.
So we're glad to have you as part of our 100th episode, and we welcome all of you, and we're going to count all of you as the guest on the show so that we can have a bigger number. We are really excited to welcome back our very first guest that appeared on our podcast, Bob Samford. Come on up, Bob. Bob is the director of the Lufkin Economic Development Corporation, and we're so glad to have you. Come on
Welcome,
up.
Bob.
Welcome
Thank
back.
you very much. Awesome. Thanks, everyone, for coming to hear me talk today. It's exciting. I'm always honored and thrilled to be able to come in front of the group and tell a little bit about what we're doing at the city. We got a lot of good stuff happening.
Well, we thought we would start out just in case we needed it. But I've got a cuss jar.
Okay.
Because if any of you have ever heard Bob talk, he gets excited.
Fair enough. Fair
And
enough.
I love it.
Yeah.
Because last year I told him that if he started cussing, he was going to have to put money in the cuss jar. And that it was going to go to a nonprofit.
Yeah. To the chamber.
But a chamber is a nonprofit.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, it's an important thing.
We'll
because
take it
for
down
the
so it doesn't
podcast-
show up in all the photos.
That's
Yeah.
okay. For the podcast data, if you have explicit content, you have to designate that your podcast has explicit content. So we're just going to have to beep you out on this one if that happens.
Yeah.
But-
I'll do my best.
So
I
this is
promise.
actually Bob's fourth appearance here on the podcast. He's now our most regular guest that's ever been on the show here with us.
Awesome.
And we thought that was so fitting to have you back. One, just because we love a challenge of having a live wire on the podcast.
Yeah,
It makes it
heck
fun,
yeah,
especially when we're doing it live. And we thought it was so fitting to have you back on as our first guest. So if people here have not listened to the first 3 times you've been on the show, just give us a quick background, kind of who you are, what you do, and a summary of that.
Sure. I'm an old country boy. Grew up in Jasper, Texas. Got a very fortunate break in life, and did a little time in the oil and gas business, and then found my way back to East Texas. I was the director of local and state government affairs for. Everybody that knows me know how I feel about Temple Inland. I mean, that was the best ride of any work that I could have. I actually managed their ad valorem tax department, which was about a $40 million department at the time, and then was responsible for all their local state government affairs throughout the United States. I left there, went to work for the world's largest mining company after IP bought us. Did 3 years there, was kind of semi-retired, was at Caney Creek Boat Ramp, and my phone rang. It's a true story. And I didn't recognize the number, and so I picked it up and I said, hello. And the person on the other end said, I don't know who you are, but I can't find anybody saying anything bad about you. And I was like, I didn't have a clue who it was. I was like, well, let me just tell you something, cowboy. You hadn't asked many people. And it was Judge Keith Wright. And he gave me the opportunity to come to Lufkin and bring my business acumen and my skill sets that I've learned over my 20-plus years in the corporate world to Lufkin EDC. And I would tell you there's some kind of country western song that, you just never know where you're going. And I ended up in the right place. I would have never, ever thought I would have been at the city of Lufkin, but it's a great group of people. I have a really better appreciation of how local government works, the challenges they deal with on a daily basis. And thanks to Keith, they give me an extreme amount of latitude to do my job. I know what I'm doing. We're going to get there. We're getting better, and we'll continue to do better as long as we keep our eye on the target. So.
Did you ever think 3 years have gone by? It's hard to believe.
So 3 years has gone by like super quick. I have had a little bit of time in preparation for this speech that, I don't know, I've kind of gotten a little bit more reflective in my life as I've moved back to East Texas. I lived in Austin and Houston, and it couldn't be a better place. So if I could, Tara, if I could just kind of share with you guys a little bit about like some of the things that I'm really thankful for being back. So, and it won't take long, but so one of the things I'm really thankful for is Lufkin State School. I'm telling you, that is an incredible place. I'm lucky enough to serve on the board of volunteer services, and those people out there are amazing. The work that the staff does is incredible. It's just we're just blessed to have something like that, and so I'm thankful for that.
And let me just say, Representative Ashby is here, and Representative Ashby,
Yep.
thank you for all that you do to help keep the state school alive and well.
100%.
Thank you very much.
Huge economic driver as well. One other thing is Pinecrest. So my sister and I just moved my mom into Pinecrest, and so that is it's an amazing facility, and it's doing a great job in making people who are later in their life comfortable and feel wanted. And so I just wanted to say Pinecrest. Another one is all the nonprofit boards and leaders. I mean, as in this job, I've really had a chance to work with people like Tara and Stacy and others in nonprofits. And let me just tell y'all, you'll never understand the work that these people do and the value that they bring into our communities that's never tangible or seen. And it's just a lot of work. The TLL Foundation. So I've gotten to know Wynn and the staff over there a little bit since I got back. I had a lot of direct contact with them when I was a Temple Inland employee. And let me tell y'all, they're doing some really big stuff and really good stuff for the people who need it the most, who are our less fortunate, maybe poorer, people with illnesses and things like that. So and it's right down the street. I mean, it's incredible. Just a couple of more, and then we'll move on. Y'all okay with that?
Absolutely.
So another thing I'm really thankful about is Lake Sam Rayburn and the National Forest. Let me just tell y'all, when I left here, I was like, I ain't coming back. This ain't gonna happen. And now I come back, and I'm reflective in how I look at things of like the lake and the value it brings to our community, and just the beauty of our national forest is incredible. Our medical community in Lufkin, this is where people come in East Texas to get well. And I mean, that's an honor in itself that our city supports not only the hospitals, but all the doctors and the optometrists and all like that. We are the epicenter of good health in East Texas. I mean, that's just where people come, and my hat's off to the medical. So I'd like to also recognize real quickly, Tara, the city council. So the city council, in particular, the hiring of Kevin Gee. I've gotten to know Kevin over my time here, and I'm going to tell you, he's a good man. He's a good Christian man. He's a good, level-headed thinker, and he's exactly what the city of Lufkin needed. I think Kevin's going to be here for a long time, and he's going to make big differences, but in a very steady, captain-like way, and it's super hard to find people with that skill set that are particularly from East Texas. So, Crown Colony. You know, I come up here and do things, and people hate on Crown Colony from time to time. I'm telling you what, we are lucky to have this place. The golf course is not what it used to be. Well, nothing's what it used to be. It was, we had Temple Inland at the time, but to be able and come together in a group setting like this, in a facility like this, in a town the size of Lufkin, Texas, it's awesome. So this is the last one that I'm thankful for. It's the future of East Texas. I'm like super, super high on East Texas. And we're going to talk about some things this afternoon that I hope will be of interest on you. We're trying, and we're getting ready to do some things, and we're going to stand up to the plate. The mayor and I were just in Austin not long ago, and we told the chief of staff, hey, it's cool, all the things you guys are getting in Houston, San Antonio, and all that. But you know what? We need a little love. We're good to go. Give us a chance. And so I'll talk a little bit more about that. So thank y'all for letting me. I didn't mean to kind of drift off into that, but those are just a couple things.
No, and I think they're such important things to say. We're all three hometown East Texans, and to be able to represent our community and to be able to help with the vision of what the future is, it's definitely an honor. So,
Yeah.
but we're excited to talk about some projects that you've got going on. What have you got going on?
We'll move off the reflective and into reality. So one thing I want to talk to you guys about that's really new and exciting and is going to be a major impact to Lufkin is the LEDC. We've started a new association at the state level. It was something that I started working on and then partnered with the Port of Houston. And it's a new trade association, and it's called the Texas Association of Foreign Trade Zones. There was no cohesiveness within all the foreign trade zones in the state. There are 33 foreign trade zones, and for people who haven't heard me talk about that, foreign trade zones is probably the highest economic development recognition you can get in the United States. It's awarded from the United States Department of Commerce. It's a very high bar to set. Keith gave me this challenge when I first got here. We had ran into some problems, and with a lot of diligence and trips to Washington, we're Foreign Trade Zone 297. So there's 33 in the state. So I would tell you, we started the association we used Lufkin providers. We used Jeff Chance, Ashley Rohde, Ann did our social media stuff. So it's a Lufkin kind of deal. And so now that it's going, I'm the president. The other board members we have on our executive committee is Port of Corpus Christi, one of the largest ports in the United States for exportation of oil and natural gas. City of Fort Worth, City of El Paso, and Port of Houston. So here's the caveat on that. Did you guys just hear who we were a part of? I mean, we're moving on up. I mean, we're going to get in there and we're going to show people how we can handle ourselves very professionally, very organized, and very goal-oriented. And we're not going to let anything detract us from our mission of providing long-term generational jobs to not only current people, but more like the youth. You know, I tell people all the time, I've done okay, you guys mostly done okay, but we've got some responsibilities for our youth out there. And not only in this area of town, but all areas of towns and all over East Texas. And so the plan is to get all 33 together, okay? And then we're going to do that and increase not only commerce in Texas, but into Lufkin. I mean, when you hang around winners, you usually kind of pick up, a winning attitude. And that's what I'm trying to project to these other cities and everything. You guys may be a lot bigger than we are, but don't look behind you because we're getting ready to come on. So I'm confident that we're going to achieve this status at the Capitol. I've talked to Representative Ashby. Let me tell you guys, this is another thing I'm thankful for is Trent and his service to our state and to our community. Trent, I worked 15 years at the Capitol, and I would tell y'all, Representative Ashby is the real deal. I mean, he has the respect and the wherewithal to get things passed, and he's in our corner day and night. And so I've talked to Trent about this. He's excited. I'm excited. I think it's going to be a total win. I think we'll be in the category of Texas Association of Businesses, Texas Association of Manufacturers, Texas Association of Oil and Gas. This organization has that. And y'all guess who's leading this? Lufkin, Texas. So we're gonna really put our best foot forward on that. So that's exciting. So that's one thing we're doing.
Super exciting. We do this every podcast, and I love to do it. So just kind of share, since you've been there, some of the business and industry that's come to Lufkin. I try to stay off Facebook as much as humanly possible, but you see it all the time, and people will complain about us not having industry or not having jobs, and they're so often just completely unfounded complaints. But so I love to give you a chance and a platform to debunk that for people and share some wins, man. Tell us how good you've done.
So let me just give you my philosophy about that at first. I've been in an interesting job just about my entire life, where it's really not measurable. I can't say at the end of the day I made 15 widgets or the next day I made 16. It's all about relationship building, positive attitude, and being goal-oriented. And, you know, I found that there's always going to be haters and naysayers. Oh, well, you're not doing this, or you're not bringing industry, you're not doing that. It's just not true. We are super winning. I mean, you got to think about it. I mean, we're 30,000 people, and, you know, we're bringing in, like Adafosse is a $70 million facility, you know. And it's not me. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to get up here and go, oh, listen to that guy brag, you know. It's not me. It's Lufkin. That's what's bringing people here, is that we have the workforce, we have the infrastructure, we have the talented workforce. You know, we have a group of people that's going to build a facility here. They've already selected us. We were one of 6 finalists for the site to build it, and we had a little get-together for them, and, you know, they said, that was really good, and I was like, you know, that's just us. Yeah. I mean, that's just who we are, and we're not going to try to be somebody else. And, you know, we've told businesses that maybe this is not the fit for you, you know, but this is what we're going to do. We're going to stay on a clear path until I get otherwise directed, you know, from my boss. But, I mean, American Echem, Lockheed Martin, we have 500 employees with one of the world's largest aerospace companies. I mean, gosh, this just, and and the other thing too, Blake, I'd like to say is, it's not always the big wins that really count in life. You know, every job from my perspective matters, whether it's somebody that's doing maintenance on a fork truck or the CEO of Brookshire Brothers. I mean, everybody deserves a chance. Everybody needs a good, fair wage. And that's the goal of LEDC in the time that I'm here, is that we're going to try to create as many as we can. And yeah, it's nice to get a headline every now and then, but that doesn't really drive me. I mean, it really doesn't. What drives me is seeing people get better and succeed across all walks of life. I mean, I really, really believe that. I do 100%. And I'll say it one more time. And this, I'm not sure it is the word, but we deserve to help people who need help. We really do. I mean, and that's kind of my mantra, is like, I'm working every day for something I don't even know that's attainable. You know, I'm working to bring good jobs to everybody here, but it may happen or it may not. But I can tell you this, whenever I leave, I'll be able to go, I tried. And so, anyway, I hope that answers your question.
It does, and we like seeing the results of this. If you ever have anybody ask, you can just tell them to go to the podcast and just scroll through the episodes. Because when we were pulling the data for this, I was going back and looking at all of the past episodes, and it was company, you know, it was Twin Disc and all these different national and international companies that chose Lufkin to be here, and we've gotten to see that process through with guests that we've had on the podcast, and things like the airport and people loving the airport, and that being a big reason that they decided to come to Lufkin. So it's been fun to see all of that
I
from our
think the
side.
beauty is also watching the employees that come with it actually get plugged into the community. That
Absolutely.
they learn to love Lufkin like we love it, and to be able to watch the families that are raised here and get plugged in, you know.
100%.
And then so many times, and one thing that I don't think you get enough credit for is to be able to work with like Angelina College and SFA, that we've got all these new companies that are coming to town, but that we need more training. And so they have jumped to the plate immediately and said, let us get the training out there for you. Let us find grants that will train employees for free so that you can have the jobs that you need with these new companies.
Unmeasurable.
Yeah.
I mean, for a town of 30,000 to have a college, you know, that is, we met with Dr. Simon this week, and, you know, I think it's important that we keep a clear, you know, direction of the synergies between the city, the community, and the college. And I'm going to talk a little bit about something later in my presentation that's going to really be really speak to that topic. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you are also like headfirst into Lufkin Forward.
There you go.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about Lufkin Forward.
Where are we at?
Okay, so that's I'm glad you brought that up. So, okay, here's the deal with Lufkin Forward. How many of you in the room think if you priced a project out 18 months ago that it would have gone up in cost? Yeah, so everybody. So here's where we're at with Lufkin Forward, full transparency. So we hired an architectural firm. They gave us a bid estimate of $2.5 million. Yep. At the time, everybody was like, I don't know, that's a lot of money, and so I was like, Mayor Hicks and I talked about it, and we said, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. So here we go. And so we get ready, we do the engineering, we met with the downtown people who were fabulous. I was really kind of nervous. I don't get nervous very often about public speaking, but I was like, ugh. And so, but they were all in. I mean, and so we got that and we got ready. So right before we get ready to do the project, I had to ask Eddie Aguilar, our city engineer, I said, hey, just check back with those guys on the pricing and supply chain availability. Well, you can guess where this is going. It went from 2.5 to 5.7.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, 5.7.
Youch.
Yeah. So I go back and say, hey, maybe we don't need the Cadillac version. Give us another look at it, and let's see what we can do. And it was 3.7. So keep in mind we had 2.5 budget. So here's what we've done. Don't worry. We're gonna still do Lufkin Forward. We're gonna make it happen. There's been too much work put into it, but we have gone back and we've hired Goodwin Laster Strong, a local engineering firm, to take a look at what our vision was and the overall vision of the plan. Come back and give us a workable solution that we can all, be proud of and be a part of it, and let's just kind of see where that goes. It's just been a crazy world. I mean, and I'm not trying to get up here and make excuses. Y'all saw how much energy and passion I had for that project. I still do. I think our downtown is like the heart of the city. It's like a tree. It's the base, and we can grow out from it. And I really do believe, Tara, that what I'd like to see is, once our city gets up and going like that we really start focusing, on bringing everybody into our downtown. And that's going to happen. It's just going to be a little bit delayed. So full transparency on that.
Well, we're excited it's still moving forward.
It's definitely, it's good. It's there.
And on behalf of what I'm sure anyone else paying taxes in this area can say, we greatly appreciate you looking at that bid again after it came back.
It was a kind of a weird deal. It was kind of like, I was just like, hey, why don't we just do this Lufkin Forward deal? And, I got a great team of people helping me, Stacy and Ann and, other people around me. And it just like turned into this like behemoth of conference calls and Zoom calls and, meetings. But I really enjoyed it. I like a good challenge. It was a challenge. It was really interesting in retrospect to see how people's opinions, because we talked a little bit about inclusion and diversity and other things that maybe people weren't really comfortable about hearing at the time. And then as the project kind of got momentum and we started, everybody was like, yeah, let's just do that. So it's good, and we're gonna stay on top of it. So, yeah, that's great.
So you've got another big project happening right now. You talked about headline grabbers. You've got a $70 million facility project happening right now. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so my boy is up in France, Leon. We're homies. I mean, what can I say? Super cool people, though. They really are. And I think that's one of the reasons why they selected Lufkin out of all the, because they scouted around a lot, similar to Twin Disc. And we offered them, something that the council and my board and others thought that, what's hard to do in this world is to understand and comprehend the long-term viability of companies. Because we've seen that show in Lufkin, where we get into something and it really didn't just work out and it turned into a nightmare. And that's not to say any company can't, but we're really, really focused on that right now. And these guys just seem to be a good fit. They're a fourth generation company, privately owned in Lyon, France. They have a facility in right outside New York City. research and development. They're going to build a facility here that I'm going to tell you is going to be world class. It's going to be the best in recognizing the sustainability of our world. They really are into it. I'm super excited to see what they're going to do. It's just going to be, it's going to almost have the look of like a college campus, and it'll be bringing like bioengineers and things like that to our city. Just a different thing, and it's just they're going to utilize the foreign trade zone as well. So, yeah, and beside them on the track to the east is the company I referenced a minute ago. I can't tell you the name, but we were in the running with a town in Louisiana, a place north of Dallas, Bryan College Station, and they chose Lufkin. And so they've told us, I've met with the family on numerous occasions. I invited them to be here today. They have their investor meetings. So we'll hopefully be announcing that. And so that'll leave us with one track left in the business park. So, and we've got some things on that.
Well, nobody can say that you've been twiddling your thumbs.
Well, I don't know. You have to check Kevin on that, but you know.
Well, we know that you've got other things going on.
Yeah.
Tell us as we end this episode, what are some other things you've got coming up and
Yeah.
you want
So
to visit about?
I want to tell you this, and I want to thank you and Blake and everyone here for attending. There is one other topic that I want to share with you guys. And it's not something that I'm going to be able to give you a lot of, concrete details about. But myself and some community leaders have been meeting for some time now about how can we get better? Okay, what can we do? Let's figure it out and use the wisdom of some of the people that have maybe lived here, maybe they haven't. Get outside experts' opinions, and we've got a plan that will undoubtedly be something that could be revolutionary to East Texas. I don't want to be too boastful yet because it's got so far to go. It really does. But if you look at the current economic state that we're in, the Texas Triangle, I don't know if y'all have heard that yet or not. That's Dallas, Houston, Austin. Man, they can't get enough, spaces for jobs and things like that. And so this project that you'll be hearing about soon will, it's going to bring a lot of innovation, creativity, regionalism, and determination. The key in there is regionalism. I'm telling you guys, if we don't get together and understand that we can't win this fight by ourselves, it's going to be no bueno. It's just not going to be good. We have to come together. We have to quit thinking about the past and the hindrances that might hold us up and be open-minded and do it for our kids. And do it for that group of people who are out there. I mean, I grew up in a small town. There's a lot of people that don't know how to do a resume or how to get trained. And this project will bring together not only us, but it's going to have a direct and measurable correlation to Stephen F. Austin, Angelina College, and every independent school district in the public system in East Texas. I'm 100% committed to this. I'm 100% committed, and I'm 100% sure that people are going to be receptive. Am I kidding myself to think that everybody is going to, be on board? No, it's not going to happen. But that's the target. That's what we're going to shoot for, and that's what we're going to do because we are Texans, and then we're East Texans. And I don't get a lot of opportunities to work for things outside of Lufkin because, that's how my triangle of work works. I'm Lufkin. I mean, and then Angelina County and then East Texas and Texas. But, I mean, we're going to do that. And you'll be hearing about the project soon. We're going to put together. I've got a consultant that's going to help me understand how things have been done in other areas and been successful. We're going to emulate that, and we're going to get out and we're going to take a big swing at it. So,
I love how you always dangle the carrot.
so this is a carrot dangler, and I don't really like to do that, but it's just not. We're just not. The cake is not quite done yet, but it's in the oven.
We
and
appreciate that.
it smells really good. So how about that analogy? Who doesn't like cake?
I've been trying to sneak peeks at his notes over here this entire time to see if I could figure out what it was. But we will have to have you back on for your 5th time on the show.
Yeah.
Once you can announce this and tell us more.
I really thank you guys. Y'all do an awesome job. Thank everybody for being here. I mean, everybody's got things they could be doing, and it really does. Every time I do something like this, I think, well, maybe 2 or 3 people there, and so I appreciate it. I would tell you just in closing that we're trying. The city's really trying and doing new stuff. Let's all just kind of get along. Understand that there's a lot of challenges in life and that we have to really just get up. We've got to fight for what we're going to get. Sitting back and, reading bass fishing magazines just ain't going to get it done. So thank you again.
Well,
Thanks, everyone.
Just know that we will fight along with you.
Okay,
We
thank you,
will.
Tara.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob.
Absolutely.
Appreciate having you
Thank
on.
Tap.
You can sit down. So we want to thank you so much for coming here to listen to this live recording of our 100th episode. We can't stress enough how thankful we are to everyone that tunes in and downloads these podcast episodes every single week. It truly blows our mind when we look at the numbers and see the support that this podcast has received. And we would be remiss if we did not mention our title sponsor.
Absolutely,
for
IT
this
enabled.
podcast, IT enabled. They make this podcast possible. If you've listened, you've definitely heard them. They've been on the podcast. Just a fantastic partner that really helps make this work, and we truly appreciate your support.
Absolutely. We pitched it to them first thing off the bat, and they said, sign us up. But we're always looking for additional sponsors. So if it's something that you are interested in sponsoring with your company, please let us know. We'd love to incorporate you into the podcast.